1 year on from the tragic accident that took the life of one of motor racing's youngest and brightest talents in Antoine Hubert, we are here returning here for the second jewel in Formula 2's crown, the only jewel in the crown this season with the revised calendar. We continue to race for Antoine, and we are here returning to Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix weekend. We are here for Formula 2 in the feature race. It's the longest lap on the calendar, which will have the shortest race distances of the season. We miss you, Antoine, and we'll continue to race for you. Well, here we are for the feature race today. Mick Schumacher takes back the Formula 2 Championship lead with his pole position yesterday, in which he beat Aiden Jackson by 2 thousandths of a second. The Schumacher name is synonymous and famous with this circuit, with Michael Schumacher taking multiple wins, even one that which was taken away from him in 1994 for a floor infringement. Well, we didn't really get much racing last year, understandably. Mick Schumacher will look to hope to extend his family's success here. He's on the front row and on pole position for today's race, ahead of Aiden Jackson by 2 thousandths per second. Finally, the two championship contenders look to be locking horns at the start. Yuki Tsunoda is followed by Marino Sato, it's Robert Shwartzman and Marcus Armstrong on row 3. Callum Ilott is 7th, followed by Dan Tickton, and Artem Markelov and Mohamed Samaya complete the top 10 today. While New and Giuliano Alesi are out of position in 11th and 12th, followed by Jack Aitken and Louis Delatraz. 15th is Matthew Sita, and he's followed by the second Hitech of Nikita Mazepin. Felipe Dragovic out of decision in 17th, Jehar Deriva also out of position in 18th, followed by Christian Lundgaard and Pedro Piquet. It's been pretty much the norm at the back. Once again, Roy Nissany is alongside Sean Galal in the second Dams car. So here we are for the formation lap. Return here.
How was the pull away?
A year on,
have a bit more grip than that on the start,
tragic
but we need to
events
warm the
of
tyres
last year's
properly now.
feature race.
Make sure you get some heat
on
into the brakes as well.
We send thoughts and hoping for continues his recovery, and braver than that, his recovery towards a race seat back in Formula 3 in his future. Wish him the best, and we also send condolences to the Hubert family, and we'll continue to race for Antoine today. Here for the 4th round of Formula 2 in 2020 as we enter the second half of the season. And Mick Schumacher, as we said, taking back the championship lead with his pole position yesterday, giving him 4 extra points after Jackson drew level with him in the championship after Mick Schumacher had an unfortunate engine failure which curtailed his run to 3rd place on the podium after a fantastic start to the race. And well, Michael Schumacher, his father, won him multiple times. In 1992 he took his first of 91 Grand Prix wins here in 1992. He won in 1994, but it was taken away from him through disqualification for floor infringement. He won from 1995. He won in 95 from 16th on the grid. In 96 he won his second race for Ferrari. In 97 he won by dominating the race from the start. At one point in the early stages he was 10 seconds quicker than Jacques Villeneuve in the wet conditions. In 1998 he would have made it a hat-trick, but for a crash with David Coulthard as he was lapping him in that chaotic 1998 Grand Prix, where we had that almighty start after La Source hairpin at the start. We had an almighty collision with half the field taken out the first corner of the down the straight out of the first corner on the first lap. In 1999, of course, he didn't take part. He was recovering from a broken leg. And in 2000, Mika Häkkinen did one of the most sensational Formula 1 passing moves of all time. Around him, Schumacher that is, and Ricardo Zonta. He won in 2001, and then in 2004, as quite poetically, he won his final of 7 World Championship titles in Formula 1 here, in 2nd place behind Kimi Räikkönen, who's the eventual winner. And today, here in 2020, a year on from last year, and the tragic events of the feature race, Mick Schumacher is on pole today looking to continue his family's legacy around here today. On the front
The
row
rest of the
alongside
Brits forming
Aiden
up.
Jackson,
Be patient.
followed by
Watch for
Tsunoda
the
and
lights.
Marino Sato, who continues to be rather impressive this year. Here come the 5 red lights then for the feature race here at the Belgium race weekend. Green flag at the back. You know what happens is lights out, and away we go, go, go. It's Mick Schumacher with a great start. Tsunoda with a great start as well down the inside. He's already moved up into second place. And did he pass Schumacher? No, but Shwartzman looks to try and take second again, just like they did in the feature race. But this time Tsunoda hangs it out down to the back. We don't know what's going on. I think we've all got through last source cleanly, which is great to see. Nikita Mazepin. Or Christian Lunga rather dropping to the back, and now Shwartzman is right over Tsunoda and Jackson's right behind him, and it's going to be side by side. Jackson is boxed in, and we could have 3 wide here. There's Callum Ilott, who's sensational speed, and there he is down the inside. It's 3 wide at the end of the Camel Straight, and Callum Ilott, oh, is there contact there? And did Callum hang it out? Yes, he did. Callum Ilott, sensational move. Jackson falls down a couple of places. Has become really good. Oh no, is he hit? He's got hit by Armstrong. And there's an almighty crash. And was an almighty crash. It looks relatively harmless. Looks like everyone has gone through unscathed, barring car damage. It was Marcus Armstrong and Zhu, I think, and Jack Aiken. And I think Samayan would have been part of that as well. I think both Campos cars had damage there, because I think Jack Aiken was actually involved in a separate incident. And Samaya was sideways, and we've all got through unscathed. No need for the safety car. Car damage will be easily repaired. So we've still got 22 runners in this race. It looked an almighty collision at first sight, but it looks relatively harmless. That was all triggered by Armstrong hitting Jackson of all people. I don't think there was much Jackson could do there. He had the racing line. We'll have a look at the replays later. Mick Schumacher, well, he's been the big benefactor of all this. Already 2 seconds ahead of Callum Ilott. And we haven't even hit the first lap yet. And, well, we've had absolute carnage here on the first lap. We've had a 3 wide move for Callum Ilott, who deservedly is in second place after such a sensational piece of driving, as Jackson now has fallen to 7th. And you know what that means. We're going to have Jackson overtaking moves for this race now. We always get giddy when Jackson falls down the field, because he really just makes it up later in the race. So Guilherme Samaya is going on then. Yes, he is. So it's Jack Aiken that has to pit for damage, and no doubt Zhu will have to as well. Looks like Marcus Armstrong has got away with it mostly, because he is still in this race. So it's Zhu and Aiken that are the big sufferers in that collision. Armstrong got away with it, and he was the one that kind of instigated it with contact with Jackson. So looks like he's the lucky survivor. It's going to take an age for the pit crews to change these, change the front wings. Less crewmen on Formula 2 cars, of course, and of course for Aiken and Zhu, they may have to stop again, because this will not count as a mandatory stop. That is the end of lap 3 or 4, or maybe even 6 with the race distance being so short. So they'll have to come in again for their mandatory pit stop to count. So here's the start from Shwartzman on the replay. He got the best of it, and he passed who was ahead of him, and Jackson as well, down the inside of Tsunoda. But unfortunately for Shwartzman, Tsunoda just had a better exit. Looks like they're going to do Alonso and Webber through Eau Rouge here. And does it? Yes, it does. Oh, wonderful racing from those two. And a little bit further on, down at the Camel Straight, this was 3 wide eventually. Poor Aiden Jackson gets completely boxed in. He's got nowhere to go. Callum Ilott, the big opportunist, takes the move, and he takes it cleanly. Fantastic move from Callum Ilott. Tremendous racing. And, well, he's been out of the championship picture now, but that might throw him right back into it if he can get towards Schumacher later on in the race. But Schumacher's already checked out. So this will happen. Jackson's dropping like a stone. Armstrong goes over the inside of the corner and spins the car, takes 2 hits, and why he's not pitting for damage I have no idea, but very much like Jackson and Silverstone, Armstrong survives. So let's have a look at this on the slow motion replay, and Armstrong's out on the curb. He hits the rear right of Aiden Jackson, who I don't think you can really blame for this. Jackson's on the racing line, he's ahead in the corner. So by virtue of rules, it's Jackson's corner, he's done nothing wrong. So Maya gets spun by Armstrong. And Jack Aitken actually lost his front wing in a separate incident with, I think it was Piquet that he hit there, as that was always going on. So there's nothing Aitken could do about that. DRS enabled then. And, well, amazingly, we were all very well behaved in La Source. It just happened all later. And, wow, I'm surprised Szafnauer didn't have to pit for damage there, because he got probably most of it, if not the worst of it. And, well, absolute carnage. Absolute carnage on the first lap, and Spa-Francorchamps. You wouldn't have anything less, would you? Even in the dry, in the blue skies and sunny sunshine of Spa, and it does happen. It's just rarer than usual, but today we've been greeted with great weather today for this race. And now we're going to have an absolutely stunning performance by Aiden Jackson, no doubt. He's up to 6th, and looks like he could be in a passing move already. He's already swarming over Reno Sato down the inside, and you don't need to give Jackson that kind of invitation. He will take that all day. Not the best driving there from Sato. He left the inside way too open for Jackson to pass him, and you don't need to. If you give Jackson that space, he'll take it all day. And he's at the position. He's up to P5 already, and now it looks to be, after the disappointment of Hungary, the passing extraordinaire known as Aiden Jackson is back, and he's back and in the mood. Already up to 5th. He pretty much dominated proceedings in the feature race in Formula 3 last year. He is a winner around here, Aiden Jackson, so he knows his way around. As does Mick Schumacher, who's absolutely dominating out front, untroubled, and looks to be heading towards his 2nd feature race win in a row, after Hungary, of course. Down the inside of La Source from Jackson. He didn't have enough speed to make that move stick. So, as we said, Zhu and Aitken, the only ones to pit. Szafnauer and Armstrong got away with it. Szafnauer, like Armstrong, probably triggered it all by hitting Jackson. Unbelievably, he didn't have any damage from that. Very much like Jackson didn't have any damage from the Silverstone incident we had at the start of that race. And now, it's Jackson round the outside of Robert Shwartzman in the Prima. And it didn't come off, but oh, and then another one. And Shwartzman now is giving Jackson impetus to pass it round the outside. And they are going to hang it in for a further corner, Shwartzman and Jackson. These two have already had their battles earlier in the year. And now it's still side by side. This tremendous stuff, and Aiden Jackson makes the move stick. Tremendous racing from Aiden Jackson. This kid was born to race cars. I think it's fair to say Schumacher might be leading the championship and he might be dominating proceedings out front. But Aiden Jackson, much like Max Verstappen, overtaking extraordinaire, proving why he's racing these things. He was born to race, very much like Max was. At the front, Mick Schumacher already out by about 5 seconds ahead of Callum Ilott, and he will undoubtedly win this race, barring any catastrophes for him. And that family legacy at Spa-Francorchamps looks to be extended today so far. Schumacher already racing out to a comfortable lead. Well, meanwhile, we're going to focus on Aiden Jackson again, because he's no doubt going to pass Yuki Tsunoda sooner rather than later. The pit window is open now. You can make your mandatory stop from that 4, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see Zhu and Aitken back in the pits to make their mandatory stops, because the mandatory stops do not count in the opening laps of the race. And Aiden Jackson has passed Yuki Tsunoda. I think he was on the exit of the bus stop. Best exit DRS, even with Tsunoda on DRS. The exit speed from Jackson was tremendous there, and that's why he got out ahead. Well, Zhu and Aitken, they're going to need a safety car to get anything out of this race. Aitken is 30 seconds behind his own teammate, and Zhu is a further 18 down the road. The lap is very long here. It's over 4 miles. So they won't get lapped rather quickly, because it is the longest lap of the season, especially in these cars, being much slower than their F1 cousins. Well, Marcus Armstrong has got away lightly, to be fair, and now he's right on the back of Roy Nissany, and in comes Jack Aitken to make his mandatory stop then, and move to the medium tyres. I think he started on those actually. He probably had to make a further stop. Those soft tyres wouldn't have lasted to the end of the race. And I think I heard... No, I didn't. I thought I heard a car going past Jack Aiken to be lapped. And Aiden Jackson is now all over Callum Ilott here. And Callum Ilott's going to spin! Oh, and Jackson, I think he avoided him just. And now, Callum Ilott is going to have to wait an eternity for everyone to go by here because the field is going to be so bunched up already from the cars being called back. Has he stalled the car? He might have stalled the car. Safety car deployed by race control. And now Callum has reversed out. And that's disabled DRS, of course. Callum Ilott inadvertently has caused the deployment of the safety car then. I don't think he meant to do that. A bit of a hasty reaction there from race control, although I can understand it. Callum was in a very dangerous position and he couldn't go forward because he would have caused an almighty collision with someone if he had. So Callum made the right decision. He could have reversed out quicker, you could argue, but I think in the interest of safety, Callum did exactly the right thing, and it's forced the appearance of the safety car. Probably would have been better put it virtual on the safety car, you could argue, I think. We do have the virtual safety car for things like that, so I think that should have been called. Well, Mick Schumacher and Aiden Jackson will get a free stop, and anyone who comes in will get a free stop with the pit window open now, and the pit lane open to mandatory stops, as it were. And Schumacher and Jackson are going to easily lead out of this. So the big benefactor there, Aiden Jackson then, back into second where he started. And he's passed all the rest of them. So, I'm going to see the first real battle of the season between Mick Schumacher and Aiden Jackson then. Here's the replay from Callum Ilott's perspective. And he just spun the car. I don't think Jackson had anything to do with that. Everyone was really lucky to go by. Look at the gap there that Callum would have had to go into had he gone forwards. He made the right decision by waiting for everybody. Jackson with cat-like reactions, I'm sure. I'm sure he didn't resume any damage. No, he actually probably had more time than he realised to react to it, and that's why he did. Wonderful driving from Jackson. Very much like him in his MO for the last 2 years. So, on the restart, we've got the mouth-watering prospect of the Formula 2 2020 Championship leader and the reigning F3 champion from 2019 locked in battle for real this time. Let's be honest, Schumacher has had the beating of Jackson on pace this season. But he's not one for not trying from Aiden Jackson's point of view. So I'm assuming we'll probably only get a couple of laps under the safety car just to make sure everyone bunches up. Zhu and Aiken are a long way behind, although they are catching the queue now. So they've been brought back into this race. But Aiken, in particular, had to make an extra pit stop, so I think they're out of the positions for points today. It's rather unfortunate, really. It's just a lap one kind of incident. I don't think there's been nothing on my computer to tell me that anyone is at fault for that incident at the start. Jackson had the corner and the racing line, so to speak. So you could say Armstrong caused it unintentionally, of course. No one ever causes a crash intentionally. Well, Jackson and Zhu felt a long way behind at one point. This has brought them back into play, but they would need probably unfortunate circumstances to kind of hit a number of drivers to get anything out of this race. And I think now, at the end of this lap, we may have the safety car coming in. It's the second appearance of the season of the safety car after a bit of a traffic jam in Austria, if you remember. Well, we've had an absolutely chaotic race here, and I think it's allowed to get a lot more interesting. Mick Schumacher and Aiden Jackson locked in battle for the first time this season. Schumacher's going to have to need all his defensive skills to fend off the overtaking extraordinaire that Aiden Jackson has made for himself over the last couple of years. It wasn't the case in Hungary, although he did do that stunning move on Giuliano Alesi in the feature race, of course. safety car is in this lap. And we're about to go racing again. And, same rules apply as in Formula 1. Let's give the safety car enough space, and you must not pass it, even on the start-finish straight. You cannot pass until the start-finish straight. And it looks like Aiden Jackson is trying to do the Max Verstappen tried and tested move here of pulling alongside the leader. Max Verstappen has done this a couple of times in Formula 1 over the last couple of years, and now Aiden Jackson is adopting that style. Doesn't seem to have faced Schumacher much though, as we get ready to go for the green flag. There it is. We are back racing then from the safety car period, and it looks like Schumacher has fended off an opening attack from Jackson, maybe into the source at least. And another great race for Leonardo Sato up there in 4th. Did he pit? I'm assuming he did. Obviously the mandatory pit stop is a rule. You must pit and fit both types of dry tyres in a dry race. I think the mandatory pit stops also count for the future races if it's wet. We've had no sign of that today. So we've broke even on the wet dry feature races. And the forecast looks good for tomorrow as well. More blue skies and bright sunshine for the whole weekend. As Schumacher and Jackson continue to be locked in close proximity right now. No DRS for a couple of laps after the safety car has come in. Big Schumacher looks absolutely comfortable out there, doesn't he? I don't think we would have expected anything less. He's had a storming drive. He had almost a 5-second lead over Callum Ilott before he spun, of course. And it's been mistakes like that from Callum Ilott that have taken him out of the championship picture for the moment, and that would have done him no favours. Schwartzman and Callum Ilott were probably two of the favourites for the title this season. They both had below par years. One who's showing Jack Aiken making no inroads ahead at all. Still down right at the back. Even with the closing up with the safety car. Ilott now down to 15th place. It's not going to do him any good at all. Let's have a look at the top 10. It's Schumacher from Jackson, Tsunoda, there's a yellow flag somewhere, and that's Pedro Piquet pulling to the side with another engine failure for Giroux's racing system this year. Their reliability has been poor. Really poor. Louis Delatraz retired from one of the races at Silverstone due to one engine failure, and now Piquet's got one. It's been poor reliability from Giroux this year. So, Schumacher leads from Jackson, followed by Tsunoda. Artem Markelov is now up to P4 as he's passed Sato. Dan Tittum 6th, followed by Schwartzman, and then Nobuhiro Matsushita would be on reverse grid pole for the moment. And then followed by Nikita Mazepin and Louis Delatraz, who could be both on for points. Callum Ilott passing Sean Galal there into 13th place. He gained an extra place because of PK, and now he's up to 13th. So Callum Ilott could get a point from there if he gets on with it. And DRS is re-enabled now. And the field seems to have been a bit more spread out. Schwartzman's right on the back of Sato. I believe Sato might be carrying a problem because Dan Tinkham's passed him as well. He's down to 6th now. I think there is an issue in that car for Marino Sato. He might have a loss of power. Because I don't think it would be the tyres at this early stage. They would have been further preserved with the appearance of a safety car. Schwartzman down the inside of the Longship mod, I think it is. And now into the bus stop, and Sato is sinking at the moment. That's now him with reverse grid pole, but I don't think it's going to last too much longer as Matsushita is right beside him there, round the outside. going to La Source. And Sato, to his credit, is going to try and hold it in around the inside. There's got to be an engine problem with that car. It can't be the tyres. Now we're going to have side-by-side for Eau Rouge again. This time, Majusita gets ahead. Mazepin's going to wait until after Eau Rouge to pass him down the DRS straight. There we go. Jackson made a move on Schumacher momentarily. We haven't seen it. And I think Schumacher took it back, but it looks like Jackson and Schumacher were fighting at the front. And hopefully we'll get a replay at some point of that, because that could be quite interesting. The first battle those two have had this season. Here we go then. He's already down the inside of Schumacher here. The side by side. Schumacher does hold it. On the inside there. We didn't really get all of that, but nice little moment there for the two championship leaders. So now Nikita Mazepin will be on first good pole, because Sato is sooner or later probably going to fall out of the points here. Roy Nissany up into 11th place. How on earth did he get there? Roy Nissany has had a decent race, to be fair. Well, here come these two. Still locked together on the track, and still Schumacher continues to resist. He did well in Hungary to keep him behind, but Jackson wasn't performing very well there anyway. Now he's much more with it. And Tsunoda, I thought I saw Tsunoda and Markelov trading places. Doesn't look like it, because it looks like the first three have built a gap ahead of Markelov now, so it might have been passing Titum. There's a whole gaggle of cars here. It's Sato who just continues to fall down the field, sadly. It's such a shame, because he's had such a decent year, Burrito Sato. But today, something is not right with that car. He is dropping down the field. So that puts Roy Nissany up into 9th place. Well, credit to him and Nikita Mazepin. They were towards the back of the field, but they always have a knack, Mazepin in particular, to stay out of trouble. And look at this, it's free wide between Sato, Daruvala and Christian Lundgaard. And now Alesi is in on the act as well, as Lundgaard got held up. Oh my, it's been a chaotic race. We've still got 2 laps left. Not including this one. Well, what a shame from Marino Sato. He's been rather the unsung hero of the season, but it was great performances. Today, he's sinking. And there's another man who's sinking, Callum Ilott, down in 18th place now. He passed Galal not long ago, so it looks like he's developed an issue as well. His tyres might be shot if he didn't pit during the safety car period. Because we don't think he did, so his tyres might be shot now. Same with Aiken and Zhu as well, down at the back. And I think Zhu is pitted again, because Zhu is now 26 seconds behind the back of Jack Aiken, and they closed in with the safety car. So Guan Yu Zhou, or Zhou Guan Yu, as he prefers to be called, has pitted again because his mandatory pit stop didn't count. So Aiken and Zhou both had to pit again because their mandatory pit stops didn't count in the opening lap of the race when they changed their front wigs. And that's why they're pitting again. And that is why Zhu has fallen so far behind. Well, here come these two. And it looks like Schumacher now has broken DRS on Jackson, so it looks like Schumacher is well on course to win this race now. Maybe his back-to-back wins for the first time this year, and he'll strengthen his hold on the championship lead going into the sprint race, which will only be 9 laps here tomorrow because of the long race circuit. Shortens the race distance. Callum now drops behind Guilherme Soumaya, who was part of that crash on the opening lap. And there is a problem developing for Callum Ilott as well. And Sato is now dropped to 14th place, so it looks like Ilott and Sato have issues either with the tyres, or is there a problem in the engine of that car? And Jackson has really reeled in Schumacher. That second advantage he had is now gone. So Jackson is on for... Oh, he's lighting up the sectors here, Jackson. It looks like he's going for the fastest lap. Best time to do it with DRS enabled. Oh, he's not letting Schumacher rest, is he? Here we go into the final lap then. Jackson's going to have DRS. Schumacher doesn't have DRS because he is the lead car. Jackson has set the fastest lap of a 2:08. That is quite fast in Formula 2 terms. It can be deceptive because Formula 2 cars are very much slower than their F1 cousins around here. Very much slower since 2017. The added downforce rules that were initiated for F1 at the time. We're all waiting for the new cars in a couple of years' time. I think they were announced to have been delayed until 2022. Jackson round the inside, gets blocked and goes round the outside. We have a last minute move here from Jackson. And no. Oh, he was too wide in that corner. And Schumacher has resisted the challenge from Aiden Jackson again. Oh, it's the one man Jackson has struggled to fight this year, Mick Schumacher. I'm sure he was going to struggle to fight someone, and it would have been Mick Schumacher, really. I think that would have been no surprise to anyone. And now Callum Ilott has fallen behind Jack Aiken, so there's definitely something wrong with his car. And Dragovic and Marcus Armstrong are having a ding-dong battle at the back there. Well, he has resisted it all. He had a massive lead before the safety car came out. He was met by Aiden Jackson, who gave him a fight. But Mick Schumacher has continued the Schumacher family legacy today. He hasn't crossed the line yet, of course. But I don't think Jackson would be close enough. They can make a move down the bus stop. It would be a brave man. Jackson needs to do it. He's the man chasing Schumacher this season. And he's going to be too far back, surely. Mick Schumacher continues the Schumacher family traditions, and the legacy of the Schumacher name around Spa-Francorchamps has been added to another page today. Mick Schumacher wins the feature race here today. Back-to-back feature race wins. An absolutely storming drive, much like his father in days gone by. And Nikita Mazepin and Roy Dasani will get honourable mentions today because Mazepin was 8th and Roy Dasani finished 9th. Tremendous race from them, staying out of trouble and all the carnage at the start. And wow. Well, no one was challenging Mick Schumacher at the front today. Vintage Schumacher Spa tradition here today. The name goes hand in hand with the circuit. It always has. Schumacher takes the win, but Aiden Jackson will take the fastest lap, which means the loss of there's a further 5 points in the Drivers' Championship lead now. So that'll put it up to 9, I believe, now, between Schumacher and Jackson, because Schumacher had the fastest lap, added 4 points there. Nikita Mazepin will get reverse grid pole, and honourable mentions for Artem Markelov and Artem Markelov in particular. I think he says he was 9th and he started like 4th. He finished 4th. Sato and Ilott are the two men who've just fell down today. Obviously, Ilott had a spin. Pedro Piquet stopped 3 times. No, he stopped once. I thought it said 3. I think there is. No, it's just 2. So yes, 9 points between Schumacher and Jackson. Dragovic is still in 3rd in the Drivers' Championship, followed by Schwartzman. Schwartzman and Ilott now, they're not out of it yet, but they've certainly been the two that have been surprising on the other end of the side, whereas Sato's had a very unsung decent year. Ilott and Schwartzman have been below what was expected of them, really. And I think it's just Pedro Piquet, poor guy, that needs to score left in the Drivers' Championship. I'm sure he will. Still plenty of time to get some points. Kramer looked to probably have one hand on the title at the moment, especially with Univirtuosi getting no points. Maybe Hitech could form a challenge for second place, and that would be very impressive in their first season in Formula 2. Well, no surprise really. Mick Schumacher wins at Spa. I don't think it was ever really in doubt, to be honest. The Schumacher legacy continues at Spa, and a year on from the tragic circumstances of last year, we have brought you a stunning race today. Antoine, we missed you. We continue to race for you, and we'll see you tomorrow for the sprint race when Formula 2 returns.